Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. Today we're going to be looking at more cut content from Battlefront 1. We have two vehicles that we're going to be looking at, but also how they fit into the context of the game and a planet that they were cut off of. So I've just thrown a screenshot up here of Rhen Var Harbor, and you can see here on the left side that the Hovernaut and the MTT were supposed to be in there and are still referenced in the final game. So today we're going to be re-enabling that functionality to an extent to be able to view the MTT and the Hovernaut as you might have seen them in another dimension of Star Wars Battlefront. Now, to show this, we're going to be going into Galactic Conquest. I have added in a couple mods here that allow us to be able to reactivate, to an extent, the attacker functionality. Basically, what will happen is we'll go into Galactic Conquest, we select a team. To start off, we're going to select the Empire. And you're going to see an instant action. This would be what you would see if you select Galactic Civil War. The Empire is the attacking team, and the AT-AT will be marching on to the harbor. Now, why this could have been removed is most likely due to testing, and also just complexity of balancing. Instead of 2 versions of each map, now you have 4 versions of each map to contend with. Let the load screen go by. And in the context of this map, we are taking the AT-AT, we are taking over the harbor, we are going to take all the rebel command posts, and that's going to be that. There is a story built into these maps when you play them. However, the story suddenly changes. In Galactic Conquest, they were originally going to have whoever is attacking be the one to have the command vehicle. So now we're going to go back, and we're going to see the rebels. The rebels are going to attack Rhen Var. Now, because of the mod I have enabled, we're going to see the first of our cut vehicles. And this vehicle is called the Hovernaut. Now, the Hovernaut has not shown up in any official content. You can find it in plenty of mods now. For the purposes of this video, I did not modify the Hovernaut for this. And the Hovernaut itself is a little bit bugged. So as we go in here, I am not going to board the Hovernaut because it will immediately crash the game. We will show that later. The reason the Hovernaut crashes is because it uses an old function called passenger slots, which exceeds the 5 slots that are normally in the vehicle. I'll show a little bit later. I have a surprise at the end of the video of what this looked like before passenger slots was broken. But we can see that the turrets all do work. It's moving along, it's mobile command post, fighting the Empire. It has the cool laser beam turrets. I found that the effects were really reminiscent of some of the older builds of Battlefront I played around with. So clearly, they didn't change the effects to go along with what we expect from Battlefront today. With they made the effects more cartoony, stylize them a little more as they go on. And you can see I tried to enter it and crashed the game. Now we're going to move on. We're going to show if I play as the Republic. We're going to see the ATTE marching on the harbor. Now, one thing I found interesting as I was doing research for this video is that, if you're familiar, the Clone Wars campaign has the ATTE marching on the harbor. However, that wasn't originally how it was supposed to be. I found some references, including a localization text that states this. The Separatists have found one of our long-range monitoring stations. The facility is high atop a mountain peak, so the CIS has been forced to land on the ice fields below. Defend the route to the monitoring station on Rhen Var and prevent the Separatists from taking it out. That is clearly not what we see here. And actually, I went then and looked at the game's text, and it's not very detailed. It made it seem like we were marching on a Separatist sensor station. And a lot of the other text localizations for descriptions for the missions are a lot more fleshed out. This one really didn't seem to be, so that was kind of my surprise of the day when I was looking into this, that originally the CIS, up until very late, was supposed to have the campaign mission for Rhen Var Harbor. Now, I have to take a step here. I could not show this within a regular Galactic Conquest because apparently the Confederacy always has Rhen Var. So, I triggered it here through instant action. And we can see, as I talked about before, the CIS is going to have the MTT, which has its own custom icon. It actually does work. We can get into it, and we can take it around as a mobile command post. It does feel very half-baked, though. There's only one seat. The weapons aren't very convincing. It really is just a mobile command post. Now, some other places we probably could have seen this would have been places like Naboo Plains, specifically, where you're fighting the Gungans. However, this was all cut from the game, and the MTT is just left in the game's files. Just like the Hovernaut, the MTT is as it was left in the game's files. I did not modify this at all. There are no sounds coming through. Any of the effects that may have not been loaded in. This is what you see and what you get. So I have one more thing to show. And kind of as a bonus, this is the Jampack Demo for the PS2. I believe it's Jampack Volume 11. And I have modified it so that we can access instant action, and I have had to add Rhen Var Harbor. The format's close enough that I'm able to use Rhen Var Harbor here, and use the exact mission as it would have been, which was included. The sides and the vehicles are part of this build. However, they aren't normally accessible because you can only play Endor. Now, as we go ahead and enter the map, we're going to see that our Hovernaut is here. We're able to select from the pad of 4, as originally intended. Now it's just limited to 2. And now with the Hovernaut, we can actually get into it. The Hovernaut does force you into first person in the final game as well if you've modified it and not taken away some of those commands. I do particularly like the first person. I think it's pretty nice, although some of the turret views are a little bit awkward. It does have some decent weapons. It has some lasers and some rockets to work with. And most of all, I think it's kind of unique because as far as the other three teams in Battlefront, you don't picture the Rebels having a command vehicle. So for Pandemic to give them a command vehicle and to kind of flesh it out as much as they did, the turrets are actually kind of nice. We can see it here kind of as a beam turret. It has an awkward, it's like the sniper noise. I think they probably would have changed that if they had kept this. I do not have an indication of when exactly this vehicle was cut from the game, though. Of the builds that I have seen, the Hovernaut has not been included in them. You can see here I'm sitting in the passenger slot. The passenger slot does work on this build, unlike in the retail build. So what do you guys think? Is the Hovernaut something that you're interested in? I saw plenty of mods out there that do use this, so feel free to check them out. It has been used in Battlefront 1 and 2 and has been modified to work. Modders figured out a long time ago how to make this work, and that passenger slot was effectively broken, but weren't sure why. The answer to that actually is because the game only accepts 5 slots on the HUD. You can see in this HUD there actually isn't a slot to tell you who's in what seat, and the game will effectively crash. If you disable that updating, it works fine. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I thought the Hovernaut itself was pretty cool. I can see why they cut it. I wish that they had found another way to give the Rebels and the Confederacy a command vehicle on some map. But in the end, I don't really feel like we're missing much, and at the cost of all the testing effort that would have had to go into each side being the attacker, I think they made a reasonable decision to not keep it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching.